Hi, and welcome back to this edition of Joseph Rossback Photography Digital Online Training. For this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about double processing RAW files. So let me go ahead and open up this image into Adobe Camera Raw. And I'm going to process this image twice through the Adobe Camera Raw converter by, when I open the image, instead of just clicking Open Image, I'm going to hold the Shift button down, and this opens it as a smart object into Photoshop. Now, just to note, this needs to be done with Adobe Photoshop CS3 or greater. Okay. But what we're going to do for the first set is we're going to go ahead and develop the meadow. We're going to lighten the image up a little bit. We're going to add a little fill light, change the white balance around, open that as a smart object, and then that'll allow us to open the image back in the RAW converter, reset the defaults, and then work on the sky separately, and open that image back up, and then use a layers mask to kind of combine the two together for the effect. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do to this is I want to lighten the overall meadow. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the exposure slider up about a half a stop. Okay. And then I want to fill in the shadows just a little bit more down here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the fill light slider and bring this up about 10 or 12 points. Looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and change the white balance around of the meadow, add a little more blue to it, and a little bit more magenta. I'll warm it up just a little bit. And then bring up the vibrance or the saturation a little bit. Okay, once I get to this point, I'm just going to go ahead and hold down the Shift key, open this as a smart object into Photoshop. Okay, here we go. Well, should be here any minute. Sorry about the wait, folks. Looks like the computer is running a little sluggish today. Must have too many files loaded. Alright. Great, here we go. Let me just bring this up and close down my actions box. I want to bring up my layers palette. Good. So you can see that this is now a smart object, and by right clicking on it, I'm going to just go ahead and go down to New Smart Object via Copy. Okay, so it creates a copy of that smart object, and then by clicking on the little image icon, I can simply reopen the shot back into the Adobe Camera Raw converter. First thing I want to do is click on the default setting, and it returns it to its normal state. Now we're going to simply work on the sky. So let's go ahead and bring the brightness of the sky up a little bit. Okay. And let's bring out a little pop in the clouds by adding a little bit of clarity to the sky. Good. And then add a little more magenta and warm up the sky just a little bit. Looking good. And just bring up our vibrance a little more for the sky. And looks like we're clipping a little bit of detail up here. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the recovery slider over to manage that. And then add a little fill light just to kind of give it a softer, more pastel look to the sky. Alright, so that looks pretty good. So we went from this to this. We'll go ahead and click open. Now remember, we were just dealing with the sky in that set. In the first set, we were dealing with the meadow. Now this is pretty much just like combining two separate images at this point using layers and masks. Okay, so as soon as this image loads in with its adjustments, we're going to go ahead and add a mask to this to kind of put the two together. The first thing I want to do is go into my channels palette and click on the blue channel and drag it down into the channel selection box. It's going to draw marching ants mostly around the sky. It's going to affect the meadow a little bit, but we'll take care of that later with our paintbrush once we get back into our mask. You can see it did a really nice soft selection around the sky up here. So click back on our RGB histogram and then go back and just go ahead and click the Add Layer Mask button. And as you can see now, it has pretty much done a great job of putting the sky in with that meadow. Now I want to take out some of the effects that blend had on the meadow down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my paintbrush, okay, and just get in here, start painting that mask fully black, so it doesn't show any of the adjustments from the second layer. Okay. And there we go. You can always check it by clicking on the mask and holding down the Alt key. See, I missed a couple spots, so I'll just go back in here and kind of fill it in. good. And we'll just blend it in kind of nicely up here into the mountains. Click back on the mask, holding down Alt to reveal the image. And then you can see there's our new sky with our foreground. So that's double processing a RAW file. I hope this helps you out a little bit in your developing your images. And I'd just like to thank you for taking a photography workshop. See you the next time.